We're 15 days left until the general election. A lady who is running for Secretary of State. She's the Democrat from Wayne State University, in fact. Jocelyn Benson back on the program. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Michael.
You were not only running for Secretary of State. Yesterday, I understand you were running in the Detroit Marathon over to Canada and back. Did you go the whole marathon?
I did. It was my 11th marathon. I run about 2 a year, and it was tremendous, as always. The Detroit Free Press Marathon is one of the best in the world.
2 marathons a year? That's serious.
It's a great experience because, yesterday there were 20,000 people running in this race, and you get to meet so many wonderful people. It's a great positive experience. We also had a relay team. A lot of my supporters were wearing our shirts running the relay. We had a water station that we sponsored. So I always really love supporting these community events where people come out and not only run but support runners, and it was great to be a part of it.
Do you worry about your time?
I did. I wanted to train and qualify for Boston a few years ago, and I did that up in the Traverse City Bayshore Marathon. So now I run about 4 hours on average, and I don't really pay too much attention because, like life, you have to enjoy the journey more than worry about how fast you're going. So that's what marathons are to me, is just enjoying the experience now. And yesterday was a really great one. Perfect weather, great people, loved it.
Well, what about the journey? In this marathon, it's unique because you run into another country and back. And we talked a little earlier with Ken Dallafor, who thought the tunnel was tougher than the bridge just because it's later in the race. He did the half marathon. But the incline on the bridge, and apparently there's a pretty steep incline coming out of the tunnel.
Yeah, the tunnel was very warm. It was about 90 degrees in the tunnel, and then you come out and it's back to 50 or 60. But the great thing is there are just hundreds of people waiting for you when you exit the tunnel, and the cheers. It's just really exciting. Some of my supporters are there holding signs, so it was really, really great. The Ambassador Bridge was great running across it, except a part of it was under construction, so we were all squeezed into one lane. In past years, we've had more space, and it was better in past years. But still, running over the Ambassador Bridge during sunrise, seeing the sunrise over the city of Detroit, there's nothing like it. It's beautiful. The only thing that I missed was finishing on Ford Field, and we used to finish on the 50-yard line of Ford Field, and that's the reason I ran it the first time. I wanted to run under Ford Field, and I thought I could run 26 miles if I get to run under Ford Field. But they changed the finish line this time.
Oh, where did you finish this time?
Right around on 4th Street.
Oh,
right downtown.
Oh, yeah, because they also used to finish in the old Tiger Stadium when that was standing before Ford Field. So there was, like you say, kind of a fun thing to finish with.
Yeah. It was the whole reason I started running marathons, actually, because I heard you could finish under Ford Field, and the Detroit Free Press Marathon was my first marathon about 5 years ago because of that, and then I just got hooked. It's a great experience. But
so you're a football fan too, then, eh?
I am, yeah. Big sports fan. I love baseball and football in particular. It's been tough campaigning. I've missed a lot of great baseball games this year.
Yeah, well, we got Michigan State Spartans now 7-0.
I know. I was up there for the homecoming parade Friday night and watched some of the game on Saturday. It was fantastic. It's great. I think they're ranked 8 or something, or 11. And
yeah, they're number 7 in the new BCS poll, number 8
fantastic.
in the AP poll. So right now they're kind of playing for the national championship, and let alone the Big Ten.
Yeah. And that's why I love sports. You can always there's always something strong to root for. Always great stories. I think the Spartans this year are a great story.
So you did the marathon in Traverse City, and you did Boston. Did you enjoy the Boston Marathon? That's quite an accomplishment.
Yes, the Boston Marathon was everything that people talk about. You can only qualify for it or qualify through running fast or raising money through charity. And But I'll tell you, it was a great race. But the Traverse City Bayshore Marathon, where I actually qualified, was even better because I qualified, but also I got to meet some really great people through that too. It wasn't very big; there were only about a couple thousand people running it, and it was beautiful right up in Traverse City along the water there. And so, running's also been a great way to explore the state and get to know different places that you can get to off the beaten path.
Yeah, my wife, Dr. Christine, she qualified for Boston at the Bayshore Marathon, too.
Oh, really?
So she's done that a few times, so maybe you'll get together and run one of these days.
Yeah, that'd be great. No, the Bayshore is really great to qualify on, and that's great. So did she enjoy Boston as well?
Oh, yeah. She had, I think it was one of those really hot days, if I'm not mistaken. It was before me. But, and, I haven't run a marathon, or even come close, really. obviously, but it's so admirable that you can do that. And were you wearing some Jocelyn Benson logoed apparel so that people could see you?
I was. Well, yesterday I was. And, my husband actually ran 54 miles yesterday. He ran a double marathon with some returning veterans in honor of a fallen soldier who had wanted to run an ultramarathon. And he was really hurting by the end, but it was great. They carried a flag the whole time. They started in Pontiac in the morning and ran down Woodward.
54. How many hours does it take to run 54 miles?
They started at about 1 a.m., 1 in the morning, and ran to the start line, and then started with everyone at the pre-press marathon at 7.
Non-stop, you're saying?
Yeah, it was really an incredible test of endurance, and I was there when he crossed the finish line. It was really great. He was carrying a flag and everything. It was great.
Wow.
And then the other great thing yesterday was the Detroit Free Press has endorsed my campaign and my candidacy for Secretary of State. So it was sort of a great day in Detroit.
Congratulations.
I found out right before we started running at the marathon. We read the editorial and thought it was a great description of our campaign, why I'm running, and also the clear choice voters have this fall. So it was a great thing to read before we started the race.
What was the point in the endorsement that you were most proud of?
They recognized my genuine commitment to the office. That this isn't for me about running for a political office. This is to me about being able to run the Secretary of State's office. I've written a book on it. I've spent my career working on the issues that the Secretary of State office works on and addresses, and it was I was very thankful to have a story on my campaign that kind of removed politics from it and recognized that my commitment is to making sure that office runs well, not using it as a political stepping stone or anything to advance my own career.
There's a guy called Steve Mitchell, a pollster you probably know, and he said on a television show this weekend that Ruth Johnson is not going to lose. And he also called the governor's race. I don't see the point in doing that 15 days before the general election. Doesn't that discourage people from voting?
I think, people can say whatever they want to say. The most important poll is on Election Day, as everyone says and knows, and that to me is what we're focusing on. And as long as voters maintain their choice and their control to cast their ballot and vote in favor of the candidate they prefer, who's best qualified, we're going to win. And we're seeing a tremendous amount of enthusiasm. Even on the marathon yesterday, people running by and saying they're supporting us and can't wait to see us get elected. So, the response I'm seeing throughout the state as I go around is very supportive, and I'm very hopeful and confident that we'll cross the finish line on Election Day successfully. But it will all determine on whether or not people get out to vote, and that's the most important thing. If you don't vote on Election Day, nothing a poll says matters. And so we hope that every single citizen who's eligible to vote casts that ballot on Election Day, and I hope they vote for me.
Well, you're so uniquely qualified in that you wrote a book about what it means across the nation, not just Michigan, to be a Secretary of State. So you must have talked to scores of them, right?
Yeah, I was very inspired to run by all the work that's going on in other states to save citizens time and money that we don't have here. A lot of the innovative practices that I learned about from other secretaries of state I want to bring and implement here in Michigan, and I know how to do that with their help. But also, I fought in 2007 to keep a branch office open up in Saginaw and Buena Vista Township, so I know how important those branch offices are for our communities and have through that experience, developed a great sense of exactly how to operate them in a way that's customer-friendly, but also cuts costs and saves our taxpayers time and money. And then apart from that, there's the key reason I decided to run was seeing people dealing with foreclosure being told they couldn't vote. My opponent did nothing and confused the matter by saying you could be blocked from voting because you're dealing with foreclosure, and that's not true. And so I was proud to be part of the effort to clarify that and ban people from the polls from using foreclosure lists to challenge voters.
Well, keep on running, Jocelyn Benson. 15 days, the Democratic candidate for Secretary of State. Congratulations. You and your husband ran for 85 miles about combined yesterday. That's a lot of energy to the process here. It's Michael Patrick Shields, 35 after the hour.